better.
And we're live. Matterall, we're live.
Welcome to Talking in Stations, a podcast about EVE Online. I am Matterall, here with McLeod.
Hello.
He says howdy in sign language. And we have a slew of guests today that revolve around events that are breaking at this very moment. So you're getting the freshest view on news that you can get. I want to introduce in no particular order some of our guests today. We have with us Pando from the Initiative.
Hey.
We have Vily from Test Alliance.
Good afternoon.
We have Killer B and C Dot.
Shalom.
And we have High Want To from Snuff.
Hello.
Hey guys, welcome and thanks for showing up. First, let's cover what's breaking at this very moment. The non-invasion pact between Legacy Coalition and the Imperium is coming to an end in 2 weeks. We have Vily here to talk about that. Can you tell us, Vily, what's going on here?
Well, I mean, you pretty much just summed it up. The nip between Legacy and the Imperium, we've suggested an end date of July the 5th, basically, between our two alliances, as we feel at this time. It's just not working out, I guess you could say.
So is it joint? You guys came to an agreement, or?
No, it's not so much that we've come to an agreement. It's just that there's ways to end nips. You can break them or you can end them. Once you start a nip, you are not bound to it until you die. And as such, it's just a... How do I put this? It is just the way it is, I guess. I don't know how to put it.
Well, it's the end of a relationship, right?
Yeah.
But surely there's a reason why, right?
What's the reason?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. I didn't end the nip.
There's a ton of reasons why. It's, like anything, there's always reasons.
Well, let's start with it's not working out. What's not working out?
The nip.
The non-invasion pact is not working out. But a nip is in place. It doesn't. What's not working out is you're not wanting to not invade anymore. Is that why the nip has to go, or is it? Are you going to invade Delve? Is that what we're looking at here?
I mean, that's not the original plan, but when the Imperium only has two modes. They have, we're gonna kill fucking skull crush you to death, or you're chill. And so we fully expect that the end of this nip will result in them coming to skull kill us, and we'll go from there, right?
Tani said yesterday in the fireside that they're waiting for us, Vily. I don't think they're gonna be coming for you. Didn't you see they're calling this World War B, and they even made an announcement video, and the slogan of it is "Bring it." So we have to act, or you have to act.
You guys have pinged out that war is coming, if I saw that correctly. So, I mean, you're ending the nip, and then you ping out the war is coming. So, I guess it's your move, right? I mean,
well, who pinged out that the war is coming first off?
That was Sip Squad, I believe.
Oh, so Hanzo, right? So, we told Hanzo was told today that this is happening, and we had a discussion about that before. But it's important to understand there is Hanzo Viper, who is the leader of Siberian squads.
Okay.
But it's important to understand that the language difference doesn't always equal exactly the words in play, I guess.
So what you're trying to say then is you just end the nip, and you don't even have plans for any war. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that we're ending the nip with the expectation that war will come to us in short order.
All right. That sounds different than what everyone was thinking, right?
Well, I mean, a non-zero part of this whole situation has been the self-fulfilling prophecy of this NIP, where we spent, the better part of the last 6 months being accused of, planning this, when in reality this was never the original plan. But, it is what it is.
What's happening with the TTT agreement?
The intent is to keep going as per. The TTT is a neutral, non-aligned entity, or that's the intent behind it. If goons choose to leave the agreement, then that's their call. Otherwise,
So the TTT agreement, for people that may not know, is a Tranquility Trade Tower in Perimeter, generally owned by Test Alliance. They're the one that put it in place, but an agreement was made with Horde and the Imperium to share the profits. So they're all in business together, and that's why this development is even more impressive. But Pando, for your understanding of what you heard and what maybe was talked about on the Meta Show yesterday, as Matani talked about war coming, what did you understand was going to happen, and how is that different from the reality that we know today?
So like what we expected, or what I expected, was actually that Tapi or maybe all of Legacy would deploy and then maybe try to dance around the NIP, because I know Init hasn't been happy with the NIP, right? Because there was conflicts in Pure Blind, and you guys went there and then hit jump bridges in Cloud Ring, which is not covered by the NIP, which is weird, because like we had Cloud Ring for ages. And we were like, that's kind of dirty, right? So you guys did that, and we were annoyed by it. And then we went to like our allies and said like, hey, what about the NIP? Like, do we need that? Can we maybe just, get rid of it or whatever? They weren't they weren't pushing for it, but, it was on the table. And what I thought is you guys deploy and then dance around the NIP and try to get us to break it. So, probably helps with the narrative a little bit and stuff, but like in general, but we wouldn't do that, obviously, right? But
yeah, you guys would never ever break the NIP in any way in initiative.
No, we wouldn't, did we?
You literally broke it last week.
What did we do?
You were staging from Farah in like Farah and Stain, helping them against tower, bad phoning for them for Stain timers.
I have no idea what you're talking about, really.
Oh yes, yes.
Like, okay. Explain, like, what was going on there? I have no idea.
You were the bad phone for Farah, some timers in Esoteria or
who? Imperium in it? Who?
You, literally your fleet. This might have been 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
What? I have no idea. Like I wasn't involved.
I can go pull up. I can go pull up the Diplo conversation with you guys sitting on a Farah Titan. Like that's.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right.
So you're saying you've never sat on a Farah Titan to assist them?
That wasn't 2 weeks ago. That's like months ago, right?
I don't think it was a month ago. Well, maybe it was. I don't know, but it was not that long ago. Not months.
Against the NIP? No, I don't get it.
Well, if you sit on a Titan while somebody attacks the structure, covering those people attacking the structure, well, how would you view that?
I was promised some cap kills. That's all I know.
But by killing those caps, you would have. But killing those caps, you would have violated the NIP. Yes.
Well, maybe potentially. I don't know exactly.
Right.
Is Stain under the NIP?
Yes, Stain is covered in the NIPs.
It never happened, but it could have happened, right? The potential was there, but you never jumped in, I imagine, Pando. But you were
because we saw him sitting on the Titan, so we're like, well, the initiative's there, and it was just a random Raytaru or something.
Well, this is interesting though, Vily.
It was for the
But Vily, didn't you feel like the NIP would protect you? Like,
no, because initiative never obeyed the NIP. They literally had discussed how they felt that the NIP didn't, apply to them multiple times.
Hey, I broke the NIP technically once, and that was hitting a jump bridge and brave staging to get them to get a good fight. And
so we're talking about like the fourth time you guys broke the NIP? Like, no. Oh boy.
We never really broke the nip.
Okay, well, let's be honest here. Dancing around the rules of the nip and then saying test was like, oh, they're dancing around the rules of the nip.
Well,
it's a little bit much.
I'm not going to say we never did the same thing, dancing around the nip, right?
Well, you just said that's a little. You just what? How did you put it? That's a little like.
Dirty.
Okay, so, but when you do it, it's what?
It always depends on the situation, right? Like killing a couple caps in Stain is one thing. Hitting jump bridges while we're fighting a war against PanFam, that's a different thing, right? That's a strategic thing that you have to go out and decide to then form for that specific timer, to then ref the jump bridges, to then interfere with our strategic op. If I get comboed and the guy says, "Hey, like,
okay, let's talk about this.
Like, let's kill them." Like, I'm not gonna look.
Let's talk about us reinforcing those jump bridges, by the way.
And what part of Stain? Because you have like how many regions covered by the nip? Like 10, 12? I don't even know. Like a shit ton of regions, right?
Let's talk about that though. Let's talk about us reinforcing some Cloud Ring jump bridges the one time. What was that op over? Do you recall?
I have no idea.
It wasn't initiative shooting test Fortizars, was it?
Which one?
The one in Coruscant.
And then what? The Fortizar Coruscant is covered by the nip, yeah?
No, it wasn't.
Neither is Cloud Ring.
But neither was Cloud Ring, that's my point.
But you refed it also on PanFam timers. Nothing to do with your structure.
What are you talking about? It was literally you guys took all of your supers and reinforced all of our Coruscant structures. So for that timer...
Yeah, we killed all your stuff in that area because you deployed there to hit our stuff. So is that not correct? Or to hit GOTG or at the time Deadcore stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then afterwards you still hit the jump bridge. So,
the jump bridge hit was related to the test Fortizar.
What?
You chose the timer to hit You chose the timer to hit the jump bridge, not us.
Vily, what I'm getting is that Pando is to blame for this next war. I'm just kidding. I took that from Mandalorian.
Wow.
Well, if anybody is responsible in the Imperium, it's definitely initiative. There's no doubt about that one.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that is interesting because I remember, at least during even Blackout, there was a lot of pressure being put on Legacy from your bombers, Pando, which...
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's more so just them like constantly calling us like liars and all kinds of other stuff, mostly related to the Kamal incident more than anything.
Oh, what's the Kamal incident?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Kamal incident was that was awkward.
What was it?
Kamal keeps the timer was so fun. Even though nothing happened.
Oh, that one.
Gigantic blow up.
Yeah, that one.
It was still fun.
Well, tell me that was.
Killer B, to take us back, tell us the Kamal incident. So
I don't know any other details. I just know that suddenly Test was aligned. We were like going there to help the dudes defend the Kamal Keep Star. And we were like, well, either we can take the fight or we could defend it if Tappy is like friendly, or we can't if Tappy is not friendly. And then I actually, who's running that fleet? I don't remember. I think maybe may have been Nidders or somebody. And DFC goes like, well, Tappy is blue. Actually, I think it was me. Because I remember saying like, oh, Tappy's blue for this time, and then everybody in fleet was like, what? How's Tappy blue? Everybody went crazy. But that was that was a fun time, good times. But I can't go into the diplomatic details of it because I wasn't really involved in that. I just showed up to a timer to help the RC boys defend their Keepstar, right? And at the end of the day, I don't really care who I work with that much.
What about High explains what happened? I mean, you're kind of neutral right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you our perspective. So we reinforced that Keepstar back in that, Big Titan Blob days, and we reinforced it, and then Init came to help us, and it was us, Init and Goons. And then as we're about to jump in, Jay PMs us, and he's like, because I believe Darkshines and I can't remember, the Test FC had a chat, and they said that they wouldn't shoot us. Test guys weren't going to shoot us. And then Jay PMs Darkshines on me and says, don't jump in. Test is going to turn on you. And so we didn't take the fight. That's how it happened for us.
And where did Jay get that message about Test turning on you from?
I really can't remember.
It's literally because I proper comboed Jay, because I'm like, what are you guys doing here? We're going to have to shoot you. That's literally how that message got there, because I'm like, that's how that started.
But at the same time, one of your FCs said, we're not going to shoot you. and we were like literally seconds away from jumping Titans and Supers and everything in. And then suddenly you convo like, hey, you convo Jay, who was not the guy originally reffing it, who was not the guy originally showing
because
up to.
let me be clear here.
Brad,
So Initiative convoed like
one of
6 different FCs trying to get the answer that yes, we won't shoot you. And eventually they found one that wasn't clued in enough to say yes, we won't shoot you. And then then they're like, oh, well, maybe this time, that makes it all good. And don't get me wrong, that one FC did say that. But that's not to pretend you guys didn't ask like 6 different FCs trying to get that answer. You were playing mommy daddy games, and then Dad came and he's like, "No, we have to fucking shoot you. We have an agreement over this Keepstar."
I believe the first 5 FCs probably answered like, I don't know. Right?
That's shocking. And then why wouldn't you think to ask the person who would know,
Well,
aka
I don't
me,
know. Well,
who was also
well,
around and talking to you at the same
it wasn't
time?
me convoying people, so I can't give you all the answers. Like, I can't be 100% sure what exactly happened, but at the same time, I know Dark shines, right?
Also,
So when he
by the-
says that's what was like, that's not his way of doing things. So I'm pretty sure he just looked for the FC doing it, and he didn't know it was you FCing or whatever.
Well, it
And
wasn't
he
me
asked,
FCing.
like,
I had been the original guy who was going to be like, making the decision on it. But then I was like, I don't think we're going to go to this. And then another FC was like, because it was going to be too diplomatically annoying. And then another FC decided to go.
But you see, like he was looking for the FC in charge, and the first guy giving him an answer, the answer was, "We're not going to shoot you." So that's what he's going with. Isn't that like a normal way of doing it? Like, he doesn't know that then you show up and then you have a different answer. So obviously,
Well, I gave him the first answer.
We think like you're gonna backstab, like it's backstabby, right? That if you seconds before we jump in, suddenly say, "Oh, by the way, we're shooting you." Like, what if that message comes too late and we jump in and you're like, "Oh, look,
You know what happens? You know what happens in that case? You still win the fight because nobody had any caps or any way to do anything there. Like, our caps and supers and titans were like literally 8 mids away.
1 mid away.
They were in 08 tac.
Yeah, it was 1 or 2
just
mid.
in it there with Super and Titans, and it was like your Super and Titan fleet. That we
Our Super Titan fleet was 08 was in 08 tac at the time. I want you to go do the math and tell me how far that is in jump distance.
It has been a while. I don't know.
Why are we even talking about this?
Yeah, but it's.
Why?
I guess it's in its fault.
Sorry, let me get this back. Let me get this back on
Yeah,
track.
well,
Sorry, we're trying to
talking
figure
about
out a
it.
technical issue. But all right, let's get back to it. I don't know who's typing, but whoever's typing, stop typing. 'Cause I can't figure it out. And we don't want that clackety clack on the sound recording. Let's go back to the present day. We can go back and forth like this for a long time, and it's kind of exciting, actually. I usually don't like this kind of thing, but these two guys I respect very much, and they're both handling themselves pretty well, so we're going to let it go on. But we need to get back to actually the narrative of what's been going on. Let's actually take it back a week. I want to start with Snuff and what's been going on with them since they came back to the game a few weeks ago. So, what can you tell us about? First, let's start even with your break. What made you go on break, and what made you come back?
It wasn't me. It was more. I just had more time again, I guess, because of like coronavirus, I guess, and started FCing again, and people started playing again. I was doing university exams, so I didn't do anything really towards that. Tao just came back, and we just wanted to keep it chill, just mess for a bit, and we were reinforcing everything in our area. After which, we shot the Goon Ignite and Forts a couple of times, and also some initiative stuff, and then Goons decided to deploy against the 500-man alliance. And we didn't bend over and die, much to the Mitani's disappointment. And PanFam was conveniently deployed next door, and they asked to come on timers, and Goons didn't really.
Yeah, welcome back to the game. Hi, and thanks for inviting us.
Well, hold on. I had heard that you, upon your departure, had left Moons to Initiative, but then when you came back and had more time for the game and started playing again, that you started attacking those same Moons that you had given up to Initiative. Is there anything to that?
I mean, we reinforced a lot of stuff. It wasn't just Moons. We reinforced like an Aspel, had a fight over that. Some other stuff, and yeah, some of the stuff was Moons. But yeah, I mean, the main point of that was fights anyways. We did ask Shine, so he wanted to sell them. He said no, but at the end of the day, it was more just over fights.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, you riffed so much in that area that it didn't look like fights. And you remember that one time I had a Kiki fleet out, actually, and we were doing like our typical Kiki thing, hunting stuff. And there was timers coming out. So I showed up for I formed, expecting you for the first timer, but then you decided to blue ball us for like 2 hours straight and then take like on the last timer or like one of the last timers, then suddenly, you're willing to take the fight. And I know like my fleet was massive, but at the same time, it felt like a little bit of a war of attrition kind of move. You know what I mean? Like try to have people like have the hostiles waste their time and then, and all that stuff. And it was just like, it came across this whole move. It came across like a little bit of a dick move, I guess. So, but yeah. And,
How all online, right?
Say it again.
Sorry, I was just saying that's how wars are fought, right? In Citadel Online, anyways, right? Fights happen. You don't take fights where you don't have enough people. It's just how it goes. Like,
but I guess the combination with us taking over your old moons and then you coming back and doing it in the same area, I think you can understand. I'm pretty sure you can understand why we were a little bit disappointed in you guys, right? It was like,
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. But at the end of the day,
I think there was a lot of misunderstanding there too, right?
Because
I think
you
like,
guys
we're
have
still
been
friends, but
let me tell you, when you deal with snuff, there's always opportunities for misunderstandings.
you guys had been friends, and you would even call each other for help occasionally. I know against Guardians of the Galaxy or Dead Coalition, they Snuff called initiative to help. So is this kind of weird fighting each other?
I mean, yeah, but if you go back far enough, we used to fight in it anyways. It's just more of we're back for the game on a much smaller scale, and we just want to kind of get fights in our local area rather than do a lot because we're just kind of being lazy. Like, we are much smaller than we used to be, and we're just kind of trying to keep it local and, not go too far. And I can understand why that would be annoying for Init because they have to form to defend timers, but at the end of the day, they have stuff outside of their range, so they do have to try down in it with us, but there was no actual hostility there. It's more just about fights for us at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, it's like tactically, it's like a big disadvantage if you have to travel for like, even if it's just 10 jumps by a gate, which is like low sec, especially that corner. If you're familiar, and I mean, High is very familiar with that corner, it's very hard to reach by Titan jump bridges and all that stuff. So getting there is always already like you're putting in so much effort and time already to just get there that hostiles always have the advantage there. It's the same with the pure blind situation for us, right? We have to travel a couple jump bridges, couple gates, maybe a Titan bridge in between to just get there. And then hostiles have the choice of like, oh, do we just bridge out of our staging into the fight, or do we just blue ball them and then say, haha, made you form, right? So on average, you will always lose that war like over time. And we talked about that originally when Horde deployed. And I said right away, like, guys, it's a waste of time to even form for that. Like we're not responsible to provide, content for everyone there. And but we had a couple of FCs that said like, no, we want to actually see what kind of fights we can get out of it. And I can totally understand, right? Because we are like, we need to, have some fun too, right? So we took fleets there, and then guess what? They get the first victories, and then their numbers grow, and then they, pick up and see the deployed then later on because they saw like, oh, there's good content here. That's always how it goes, right? Oh, there's good fun here. Everyone gets involved because there's not enough conflicts overall over the map, right? That's what I believe, really. Like, if everyone was busy fighting each other already on the borders to like each other's space, I think you would have a different situation. But everyone's sitting at home, bored, so suddenly, oh, there's fights, everyone shows up. And
but hasn't that been the situation?
That's how
it's been the situation for years, Panda, right?
Yeah, it has, sadly. Yeah.
So this fight gets started between Initiative and Snuff, and Killer B, is Northern Coalition and Horde, they seem to be in the area and they're coming down to like get in on this stuff?
I just came back to the game properly like 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? Before that, I was just following stuff on Discord, so I don't know all the background behind everything. But basically, what I noticed was that Horde was deployed to X-Tech 7. They were hitting stuff in Pure Blind and reinforcing FXR stuff, reinforcing some goon stuff in the area or init stuff. And there was a lot of actually really nice brawls going on. Unfortunately, we were staged in drones still at the time of NC. So whenever, and these brawls were quite spontaneous sometimes. So usually it would go like Alpha would ping us, like Alpha Star Pilot from Horde, he's currently their main FC. He would just ping in our Discord, go like, yo, in like 5 minutes, there's going to be this sick dread brawl happening in this system. And obviously we can't get over from drones to X7 in 5 minutes. We didn't have any wormholes or anything prepared. So we watched those brawls happening for a while. And then we decided, well, sitting in drones is boring. So we deploy over there too to get in on those brawls. And then obviously what happens every time we deploy anywhere, usually all the brawls stop because everybody just goes into like serious mode, or we just outnumbered them too much, which is definitely true. Like on a lot of these timers, ever since we deployed, we outnumbered the Imperium by quite a lot, especially when FRT got involved as well in some of those timers. It was just nothing the Imperium could really do. So then we deployed and we started, assisting Horde with timers and doing stuff. And that's been going on for like a month now, I would say, a bit more than that maybe. I don't actually remember exactly when we deployed, but it would be roughly a month now, I think. And we've gotten some fights. I wouldn't say there were no fights at all. We gotten some fights, especially over the low-sec stuff from Snuff. Those timers, I think we had like 2 or 3 engagements over, which is always nice. And then we had some smaller skirmishes in 0-0 as well, especially in the off time zones. And then obviously last week happened, or the last big timer happened in Pinecasto, which was the last Snuff Fortizar that goons wanted to kill. And then on that timer, we did call for the, we basically formed up the entire Panda fam, whatever you want to call it again. So it was like Horde, NC, FRT was there, Snuff and Trick was there. There was like just a lot of people. We had like, I think 200 carriers or something on the fort. So there was not a lot the Imperium could do without deploying their own caps, which they didn't feel confident to do, which is fine. So we forced their subcap fleets off, and then we had a little bit of a brawl in the system next door. And then after that fight, so the fort repaired, the fight was over. And then after that fight, both Init and Goon Swarm called for like, so Init called it a State of the Alliance, and then Goons called it a Fireside. And they were announcing their retreat or their like consolidation into Fountain, right? So they said basically, we cannot realistically defend these assets in Cloud Ring. It's a geographically bad location for us to fight in, which I would agree with. And they decided to unanchor everything they own in Cloud Ring and pull it back in a Fountain, because that BTEC D J5A gate is a pain in the ass to go through. Everybody that ever tried invading Fountain knows that. So they're obviously in a much stronger position now to defend there. And that was actually really interesting. And that's why I agree with Pando in the sense that, because we also heard that so yesterday, I don't know if you watched the meta show from Metani, he was saying how ProGod basically announced this war weeks in advance. And he was referring to a town hall that ProGod held, I think a week or 2 ago, where he was talking about how they were going to start the next big war soon and stuff like that. So ProGod was talking about it very publicly. And we didn't expect them to break the NIP, obviously. But we knew that Cloud Ring wasn't covered under the NIP, right? So we knew, or that was kind of the assumption that Pando said he had as well, where we would think that, they would deploy with us to like Pure Blind, and then all of us, Legacy and Panda fam, could all push into Cloud Ring and advance there, right? Which also kind of makes sense with the decision of the Imperium to just try to take everything in Cloud Ring down, sort of to take the momentum out of that idea, right? But obviously with today's happenings, that kind of changes. That's my POV on this thing.
Yeah, the reason for the Cloud Ring thing, obviously, Cloud Ring is like, a useless region, really. But we have some random people in there and stuff. But we had 3 keepsters there, right? So
Yep.
We took those keepsters down, and that's also the main reason. Actually, I want to add. Actually, the main reason why we actually showed up at all in Pure Blind was French connection, right? So they have been good allies of ours. It's a smaller group, but they're very active, and they have been like putting in work whenever we did anything, really. So we thought it was just fair to at least show up there and see what's up and save their Keepstar, which we also did, right? Which was actually kind of fun when the Jets, you guys made a play with the Jets and stuff to kill the freighter, scoop in the Keepstar.
Oh, yeah. The second one, the 7RM one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was obviously the 7RN scoop was done very well. That was obviously in response to the KQK one a couple of days before. So it made sense that you guys did that. And also the fact that you guys are deploying your Titans and Supers, or Goons are, from Delve towards J4A now to make sure that those 3 Keepstar scoops go smoothly. That all makes sense, right? Because Keepstars, even though the ISK, like the amount of ISK they're worth, it may not be that big, but they're still a pain in the ass to build. So you wouldn't want to lose many Keepstars. It just sucks because they suck to build.
There's always a little bit of an ego thing behind it too, I would say, right?
Yeah.
If you
that's
lose
really all it's about.
Yeah.
Who really fights wars over ISK anymore these days, right? Like, nobody really fights over resources, because that's not a thing in EVE, because everybody gets everything in 0-0, and nobody fights over ISK ever since like 2010 or some shit, because everybody has just infinite money, so to say. So I still think that if this turns into a proper war with like everybody in EVE involved, it's going to be very interesting, because we have this ore scarcity now where there isn't infinite ore to gain anymore. So it really comes down to how much have the alliances stockpiled, right? Like, how big are the stockpiles of the big blocks in terms of ore and minerals, so they can keep up the production. That's assuming that this would be a war where there would actually be fighting happening, because unfortunately we also know that these kind of big wars often just turn into blue ball fests, right? But like, let's think positive and think that there's actually going to be some kind of dread brawls and a lot of subcap brawls and shit like that. It's going to be very interesting.
Mitani literally said on one of his firesides that he's just going to make you guys burn through structures and then, wear you down. He literally said that on one of the firesides. That's their plan.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, that's a fair story. It's what we did when Imperium came to Class Tribune Rail, right? There was obviously discussion about, do we want to try to defend some structures, but the majority of people just went, why? Let's just time everything for 0800 and move to drones, right? Because we've been wanting to move to drones for a while. And it was just, it sucks. That's unfortunately just the way the game works with Citadels, right? You can do that kind of stuff and it sucks. But at the end of the day, that's sometimes the decisions that are being made. Sorry, I ramble.
No, it's good. So, and you mentioned something that I'm kind of worried about too. Like, overhyping something doesn't happen will have a bad effect on the game. People's morale might go even further lower. Is this really World War B2? Or is this something that we don't know yet? Is it still in the mix, or are people determined to make this happen?
We don't know, right? Like, I would definitely say we don't know, personally, because there is too many moving parts in this still. There is the whole, like, I don't know, Vily, have Goon diplomats already agreed to the 2-week thing, or is that still open?
No, they haven't. And I mean, obviously, it was meant to be a little more of an open time than I think they interpret it as to be, because it's obviously part of all our grand master plan to initiate World War B2. But I mean, I don't know.
So it could very much be that the Imperium says, okay, fuck the NIP, but we're not going to follow you 2-week thing. We're just going to start attacking you now.
Yeah, they could start tomorrow, right? Like 100%.
That would count as a backstep. I mean, that's usually not what.
No, because TES offered to be like, yo, we want to end the NIP, and we offer you guys, or we propose that we end it in 2 weeks, so everybody has time to do the things they need to do when this kind of thing happens. But the Imperium doesn't have to agree to that. It wouldn't be a backstep if they say, no, we don't agree to that. We just, okay, we end the NIP, we agree to that, but we're going to start attacking you now. I don't think that's a backstep.
I guess technically you could get away with it, but at the same time, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I mean, obviously, I know you probably disagree, Vily, but like, it's your turn to make the move, right? So I don't think the Imperium is going to move out and
I mean,
is a terrier tomorrow, right? So
no, like, listen, like, we did a thing, and the response we're going to get for that thing, we will see what happens. But, like, by no means, I don't know how to put this. Like, we offered them 2 weeks because I know they've got, another week of pulling Keepsters up in Cloud Ring and all this other stuff. And the intent here was not to be like, gotcha, we're doing it at the worst possible time for you. It's like 2 weeks here, like throw down some Keepstars where you feel you want them and so on and so forth, right? Like, I know that's not the smart tactical play, but there's a certain level of diplomats or class. I don't know how to put it, right? Like, it's just, yeah, I could totally have been a dick and be like, we're resetting tomorrow, haha, have fun, and it would have been an absolute backstab, and that's just not the style I want to go with, right? Like, but the goal was to end the NIP, right? And I didn't know a cleaner form to do it than the way we did it. So
I don't think you can call this. Well, I don't think this will ever be a World War B2 because there was too much extra. Like, there was a lot more.
Because there was never a World War B1 because it was a casino war. Yeah, we know.
Exactly. You also had GigX in that, and GigX doesn't exist anymore, so
True.
it's a lot of the fight's gone.
True.
Maybe Gigix's wife is going to show up. Who knows?
Maybe sister, I think. Well, there. I think they are petitioning to get him back. It might be the right time to inject a wild card.
In terms of overhyping, what you said earlier was like, I would want to add that I think it's definitely a problem because people are very hesitant nowadays to call things an evil war because oftentimes these things turn out to be just, a bunch of structure grinds. And then it just kind of is boring for everybody. And then do you really want to call that a war in a sense? You come up with names like the Glassing of Tribute and Veil or whatever, because, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah, I've got to keep people interested.
Even us killing or finishing off or whatever GOTG, to me, I wasn't very active in that. I have to say that, but even that to me, like, it felt a little bit at war at some points, like especially at the start when we started slowly entosing some of their space, and we actually got fights over the entoses. Like when we went out to hit, let's say, a Ranger Regiment IHUB, they would actually form a response fleet while we tried to reinforce it, and we would get a fight over that. And so that was actually kind of cool, and that felt a little bit like a war. But then towards the end, it was just kind of grinding again, right? So even with that, where the outcome was a coalition disbanding, an alliance disbanding, people still hesitate to call that a war. So I feel like everybody's hyped now, obviously, but we'll just have to wait and see, right? We'll have to see if the chips fall in the right place.
Well, I do know from past experience and being at NC that one of Vince's requirements is that you have a multi-front attack if you go after goons, because they can always put everybody into one system, and at that point it's unsurmountable. So this to me looks like it has some of the ingredients that, we'll call it World War B, had before, where you had 3 or 4 or 5 different fronts attacking, and then you made the Imperium pick between fighting for each individual alliance fighting for their territory or pulling back, which was the plan that Matani laid out, to work as one big group. And that plan never happened because CO2 didn't want to back out. FCON didn't want to back down to where they were. Is this the same situation where you're going to have multiple fronts? Because I see Vily's announcement as a second front. You have the snuff front, let's call it, up north. And now you have a second one that may open up through Quarius or through Esoteria or wherever.
The Imperium is not nearly as overextended as they were pre-World War B, right? So it makes a lot of sense. Like, the only regions I would see in danger here at the moment would be like period bases. But I like invading Fountain. It comes up every couple of months. Everybody goes like, "Can we just invade Fountain?" Roller, especially NC Dot. Invading Fountain is such a pain in the ass because there's 2 ways you can go. You can either go like the BTEC DJ5A gauge, which is absolutely cancer, especially if the defenders have, a Keepster on the great grid and they have the super caps and everything. Or you can go through Iridia and do like weird, but I hate Iridia, okay? So let's just not mention Iridia that much. But basically...
Well, you have low Secnia in there.
Yeah. So Fountain is a pain in the ass to go after. Delph is fortified like crazy, right? So I agree that obviously Test, if they decide to do attack like period base, for example, that would put that region at threat, but I don't really see Delph or Fountain in too much of a danger at the moment. But we'll see. Again, it depends on what happens next, obviously. There's a lot of moving parts, like I said.
Vily, is there any...
Iridia resident sleep.
A lot
I
of...
very much agree.
Go ahead. Hi, want to go ahead.
I think he said a lot of maybe moving parts or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I just said it's a lot of hype for a lot of maybes from Mittani.
Vily, are there any concrete plans? I know you can't tell us your plans, but can you even tell us if plans exist, or are you really taking this one step at a time?
Well, if we had plans, we wouldn't talk about them. And if I admit that we don't have plans, it just doesn't help things either. Like, in many ways, it's one of those things where I'm fully happy to admit to a degree that whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and that some of it's going to be planned for, and some of it, like in terms of expectations, and some of it's probably not. So we'll kind of see how it'll all go.
Right. So play your cards close. But what we do know as a fact is that non-invasion pact between the Imperium and Legacy is coming to an end in a couple weeks. This marks the end of the Imperial Legacy. Do you remember when that started?
Yeah, of course.
We were talking about that, Pando and I, and how good that propaganda video was that was used to show the Imperium that Test and Legacy was friendly towards us. Because there was a lot of resentment that you attacked them in the north, essentially evicting them from the north, pre-Delve. This is World War B, they call it. And so they had to do some like patchwork with the psyche of the Imperium fleet, fleet members. So they did this propaganda video to say like Test or the Imperium and Legacy united is strong, and you guys were. In 2018, it was clear that you guys stood your ground. Both you were attacked, and both you defended your territory quite well. But this does mark, at least historically, this marks the end of that super coalition. It's one of the first super coalitions we saw.
Yeah, and most certainly, and Mittens, I think, pinged out that there's never going to be Imperial Legacy again, right? So it's a clear cut. It's not going to, get reversed that quickly or easily.
Yeah, his response. I'll just read it for the. Hold on, Vily. Let me just read it for the record. This is from the Mittani pinging out to his own people in the Imperium. War is confirmed. Our diplomats have intercepted the Piggleman telegram from Test regime forces.
The Piggleman telegram?
Yeah. Insisting.
Oh, God, we're going to use that one.
A July 5th date matching our Black Hand intel regarding their invasion plans. There will never be peace with Legacy. Prepare yourselves. Will there never again be peace with Legacy? Prepare yourselves. Get ready for a World War B, mother, etc. expletive.
Say it again. The Piggleman telegram? Is that the
Piggleman telegram?
Shit, we're gonna.
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
He's got away with words. Piggle is a name for
Pro God Legend.
Pro God Legend, which he abbreviates as PGL, which if you just read it is Piggle. And so they put that out as Piggle Man. Your thoughts on Imperial Legacy and any second thoughts about ending it, I guess.
All good things come to an end, my man. You can, how do I put this properly? You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, So it's it's the only way to make things interesting sometimes is for somebody to take a step forward that may result in their dick getting blown off, and that is the reality we put ourselves forward with. Somebody's got to have the balls to do it.
Well, and you actually resisted some opportunities for this to happen a long time ago when, for instance...
I can assure you that the Piggleman telegram has been pushing for this one for many, 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 many months.
What's the deal with Nully Segunda showing up on the map? Is there anything there?
Oh, I wanted that to be a thing so bad. I was ready to join that alliance immediately.
That was literally just PGL trolling with some TCUs.
Really sad, actually.
So there's nothing there. Okay.
Shiva was gonna immediately join Nully if it was real.
Nully Segunda is Pro God Legends' former alliance.
Well, sort of, yeah. It was Gorgas, but Progod was the spiritual leader.
He was the leader. Gorga was the administrator, as far as the guys were concerned.
Yeah.
Vily, one other question. What's going on with your corporation in Test Alliance? Do you want me to put some more detail on that question?
Can you just
never mind.
Can you just re-ask the question? Sorry.
Yeah, your corporate status. Like, what corporation are you in, and why have you moved out of your previous corporation recently?
Just trying new things, start a new corp. Try to try to do it again. I guess gotta develop that new cutting edge technology with the most elite PvPers possible. Current, corporation membership, just me, so we'll see how that grows. But so
you're a corp of one.
I'm a corp of one. Not the first time, won't be the last, probably. But I don't know. It's a difficult thing being doing the kind of playing the role you play sometimes, and then having a corp on the other side, where you have jobs, responsibilities, etc. as well. So
you say first Royal Fleet Corps or one?
One.
Okay.
So you were part of Spartan Vanguard. That was a bigger group an active group in Test. And you've left that corporation, start your own corporation, which you're doing now. I think you mentioned that you wanted to be a CEO again, like that was something that appealed to you. And your former group then, Spartan Vanguard, are they leaving Test?
No.
Okay, that was a rumor.
No, like what that is people not reading the post. You got trolled by Valcorsia. Like I just want to give you guys an A+ right now. He trolled you, and he trolled you good.
It was a source of one, but it wasn't that guy. It was somebody that
you could have read the post. You're a Reddit person, aren't you? Reading just the headline. Unacceptable. Where's my journalistic integrity here?
I should be a reader of Reddit, but I'm not. But I take your criticism as deserved. So nobody's leaving Test.
Valk is not a good troll. You should not have been trolled by Valk this well. Like,
it wasn't
unacceptable.
Going to hear it from me.
Unacceptable.
Actually, I think he might have been in the form of a question. So that's why I'm asking: is this true? Is there any truth to it? Because I'm trying to get confirmation here in public.
Just by bringing it up, you got taken to Troll Town. Like,
okay, all right, I'll take a tour. I've been here before. All right, so you're starting your own corporation, though. Everybody's staying in Test. Is Test behind you on this? Do you have any people who are like, yeah, we don't really want to go to war. We're kind of happy the way it is. Is everybody on board? Yeah, in Test.
I'm pretty confident there won't be a ton of people that are too worried about it. I put a what do you want to do post on the Test forums a little while ago, and the number one answer to what did people want to do, first post was kill goons, and after that there wasn't a ton of not consensus with that post, let's say. There's always going to be a few people that are worried anytime you are willing to take a leap of faith, anytime you're willing to go do something that's dangerous, that's risky, whatever. People want to stay safe. They want to enjoy the security. And let me be clear here. Test could lose whatever is going to happen in the next 8 months. It could be the worst experience possible for us. And I know Imperium's probably planning it. They're just sitting back there. They're, rubbing their hands together like, oh, yeah, baby. It's going to be the... what happened to the dinosaurs, the extinction thing? We're going to be that meteor. We're going to come down on them. It's going to be, Jurassic period Mark 0 overtime. Like, I can just see, people thinking that. And it's like, it's fine. Like, I'm willing to play and die, right? Like, that if you're not willing to play the game, take some risk, do some shit, go join goons. Like, until somebody gets tired enough to do it for you. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. So, Pando, you've been somebody that, well, I don't know if it's you necessarily, but I know Sister Bliss has disagreed with some of the decisions that Imperium has made in the past, specifically speaking, the deal they made with Sword Dragon to stop their attack into the north. You guys didn't even commit to obeying that declaration of diplomats from the Imperium. Has there been any daylight between you and the Imperium? And is there any wiggle room for you to play a wild card role in this, or are you a pure defensive part of the Imperium for this war if it happens?
Well, if this war would kick off, obviously we are like fully like just how we should be doing things, right? Like we are completely in the war, and we're not gonna like look for a way out of this. We've never done that, and I don't think we will start doing that now, right? It's the same. Like, I mean, if you look back at World War B, like we were deployed in Syndicate at the time. There was no big reason for us to even stay in the Imperium at the time. People pushed for us to leave the Imperium for ages, right? And I mean, now there's war coming, maybe. So, like,
they pushed COT. They pushed CO2 to leave too, and for them it worked. And they did.
Yeah, but obviously we're not CO2, right? I mean, so.
And it worked until the judge backstabbed GigX, got rid of one of the best content creators in the game, and then the judge went into irrelevancy and left the game.
I'll have you know he was on the CSM for 2 terms.
In which he did fuck all in.
Well, he bought the votes too, right?
Well, right. So what you're saying is it's lamentable because one of the best content creators of the game is still gone, and nothing is better for it necessarily.
Yeah, I think all FCs agree on that one, actually, right?
Yeah,
that everyone kind of misses GigX. I mean, don't get me wrong, what he did was completely like it was dumb and.
Yeah, but you can understand why he reacted like that, right?
That's exactly what I always say. Is like you have to put it in perspective, right? You build this thing up, it's your baby, and then you have like CCP and people in general push that narrative of like Eve is real, right? And then it really is real suddenly, right? And then everyone's like, "Oh, that surprises us!" Like, dude, are we that surprised, really?
I always think about how didn't Mitani tell somebody to like kill themselves in person or something at some like.
Let's not talk about the wizard hat. But like, the reality is, GigX was mad and he said something that he probably shouldn't have. Everybody will agree with that. And listen, GigX was my enemy at the time, and I was sad to see him go. Like, I truly don't think that GigX should be banned. Maybe a couple months ban.
Maybe.
Yeah. Like, listen, I get the culture of being a gaming company and having to maintain that real life threats cannot be acceptable, and that's CCP's stance as far as I'm tracking, and it's probably the reality of the situation in which they have to take that stance. That doesn't mean that we can't all understand the situation GigX was coming from after working for something for years, literally years of his life probably, and to have somebody like press some buttons and just take it all away from you because you yelled at him once. Like, it's
only take it away, right? Give it to your arch enemy.
It's the same thing, effectively, yeah.
I mean, that's a step further, I would say.
Well, I think he sold it to Brave, and Brave sold it to.
No, he sold it to Goons, and then we bought it out. We sold it. We bought it for Brave from Goons. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, so one thing I want to say, just as far as like history goes, right? In EVE Online, Mitani did say that. It was unfortunate. He didn't say that. He said, "Go harass this guy."
Let's not talk about the wizard hat, man. Like,
hold on. No, it's part of EVE history. But what I want to say is there's always, anytime you bring it up, you must always also bring up that he had a heartfelt apology afterwards that he gave the guy. He gave the guy a ton of fortune in the game. The guy forgave him. Like, he made amends. And you always have to put that in there. And CCP did punish him for it, and he to this day stays punished. So it's not like he got away.
I'm not saying that GigX shouldn't have been punished. I'm saying he shouldn't have been punished to this extent, which I think everyone agrees with.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe they'll revisit that. Maybe it's been a multi-year ban or something. Who knows? They can always reverse their course.
You could also just create a new account and not get banned again. That would, I don't think you would mind.
Yeah,
GigX's sister or something. Last question, I guess, is for Snuff. What role is Snuff going to play here in the near future? What do you see?
Dude, fuck that shit. No, we're not going to get into some grind.
Next time, Snuff will have agreements that'll conveniently get forgotten about, or there'll be miscommunication, right? Hi?
Pro-God Legend has actually paid us a lot of money to help test in this war. Thank you very much, Vily. We'll be bluing.
Oh, okay.
You got some of that TTT money?
Yeah. Big stake.
What is going to happen with TTT? We asked you before, Vily, but...
The answer is still the same. Like, if the Imperium does not want, their cut of the TTT money, I will happily find other people to take it over. But, for until they let me know otherwise, I will continue paying them just as I do everybody else. And, the safety and security of HiSec will be open to all the people in Empire that live and dwell there.
So they're still entitled to it?
Well, as long as they uphold the agreement, just like everybody else, we're not going to end that agreement.
Is there a military aspect to that agreement? Like you can't attack?
Yeah. Obviously they can't attack, and they're required to help defend, just like everybody else.
I kind of want to say I want to kill that keepster more than, for example, D-P or R10 or any of the other keepsters. I think that's the number one keepster to be killed in EVE right now. But
I mean, that's coming from you, right? Like, I know that's not much of a threat. So,
is it not?
Oh, goodness me.
Well, I mean, can you let me know the last few keepstars you killed, Pando, that weren't like 99% done by goons for you?
Hard Rage ring a bell? Like
in nullsec, sorry. I do got to give him credit for the the wormhole ones. So.
Well, I killed at least an NC keepster in H-5.
That was completely Pando with the Ravens. That keeps that.
Oh yeah, fuck! I did forget about that one. Yeah, no, you're right. You got me.
You killed then, Vily. Like, give me the list, right?
How many we killed in the frat war? Like six in the frat war, I think.
Doesn't count. Made in China.
It has to, otherwise our record is gone.
Yeah, I think we only got 6 in the Goon War, or not the Goon War, the Frat War. And before that, like, there wasn't many keepers to kill.
But he's built many more. Like, there's a lot of keepstars gone up for test. All right, so Pando, does that mean you're going to target the Tranquility trade?
No,
tower,
that's not what I said, right?
He said he wants to kill it.
I said I want to kill it, but there's an agreement I think that thing is disgusting. I mean, ever since that was planted and then an agreement was made, that's as close as we've ever been, and I think ever will be. Hopefully, it doesn't get worse, but as close as you can be to a blue donut, really, right?
But here's the thing. So, but then we have war, or maybe soon to be war, with it still being there. Does that not negate to a degree the blue donut argument?
Well, you are trying to, obviously you're switching sides because you feel like the PanFam side is stronger right now, right? That's what you're doing. I mean, that's not...
I can definitely say I don't feel like the PanFam side is the stronger side of these two sides.
But, I mean, that's weird for you to say, first of all. But at the same time, like, you're covering way more space now together with PanFam than Imperium ever did, really, right? If you look at it.
To quote you earlier, it's not about the amount of people in your alliance or the space you hold, it's about the number of people in fleet.
Well, that is true. But wouldn't you agree you have more people in fleet in total then? With PanFam?
And which would you rather have, 1,000 supers or 1,000 people?
Like, wouldn't you say like you can form 1,000 supers too with a lot of hype, with your line members being confident that they're gonna win this war? Then they would probably be able to field 1,000 supers. Like, your super numbers should be fairly solid. You had Esoteria, which is super remote for like quite a long time. So, like, what have you been building? Like shuttles or like what?
The shuttles for sure. Nightmares, the occasional Abaddon or Armor Rock for God to Whelp. But like, as much as I hate to say it, there's definitely not 1,000 Titans in Legacy. Like
Not
just
a legacy,
flashback.
but all together, legacy, pan fam, everyone together. You would say.
I don't know, man. I can honestly say the amount of potential people in Titans and Supers was not part of the equation.
I mean, everybody has a problem saying, "Hey, the Blue Donut, don't like it. It's not good for the game." That belongs to nullsec because probably more than likely you have some non-invasion pacts, or or you have some non-aggression pacts, or you have some treaties like the initiative. You work with the Imperium. That's part of the stagnation, if you want to call it. Is that why the blue donut's a problem?
I don't know. I apparently can't win. I'm a Blue Donut member when I'm Blue Lagoons. I'm a Blue Donut member when I'm not Blue Lagoons. Like,
well, it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet, Vily. Like it's in.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
At this very moment, you're still.
I just want to say I would love to have access to the legacy jumpgate network, because that would mean we could jumpgate from period bases all the way to pure blind. That would be pretty ridiculous. I would like it.
Yeah, we'll have to get
just a Blue Donut, right?
We'll have to get an ACL set up just for you, Killer.
All right. One last thing I wanted to talk about was the Triglavians. Just kidding.
Oh, well played, Matterall.
Why not?
That was actually well done, Matterall. I was like, please, no, not again.
It's like it comes Astarothi from the side. Hey, fellow Kybernauts.
Don't make me laugh. I got to get through this part. No, I'm just kidding. Pando, your future plans. How do you see this going? Let's find out what you think.
I don't want to, give away any plans, obviously, but I think, free content, the time of free content, basically in pure blind or whatever, like that's kind of over, right? We can't just, keep traveling all that way to like give good fights and, boost someone's morale or some shit. So I believe like we're going to cut it off at Fountain. If people want to come to Fountain, have some fun, for example, Killer. I know Killer is up for good fights, right?
I'll bring a Ferox fleet. Dude.
If you come alone with one Ferox fleet, that's not like seen as a like massive war effort. So I guess you still get a good fight there. But in general, like if there's
whoa, Pando. So you are agreeing that if only a single Ferox fleet comes, you will not blow them with caps?
That's not. I said Killer Bee is up for good fights. Right?
So if Killer Bee comes with the Ferox fleet,
I'm not going to guarantee anything for any other FC, right? If I'm forming and Killer Bee is there in a Ferox fleet and he's alone, like I'm not going to form like Supers and Titans to shit on some Feroxes, right?
Panda, you don't form Supers or Titans anyway.
That's also true. I don't like him at all. But
just setting yourself up, okay?
I'm setting myself up. But
you're setting it up so that like Killer can come.
Supers and Titans.
You're setting up so that Killer can come. You can fight him, and then Bliss can drop him with 100 Titans. And you'd be like, I didn't perform those.
You know how it works. Like I don't have control over every FC in it, right?
Why not? You're the only real one that matters, right? In it.
That is definitely not true.
Backhanded compliment there.
No, I think that's more of an insult to Darkshines, obviously.
That's a dividing tactic. That's a dividing tactic.
I was just throwing shade. It's not true. Bliss and Shines are good.
You can't ignore all the other FCs in it. There's a lot of them. Okay, there's Bonga, there's Black.
But I just want to point out that's an interesting tactic to say you're really good, but your brothers aren't. And then you're like,
whoa. I didn't say Panda was good. What are you talking about?
You said listen to. I was
Piggles tried some new FCs apparently earlier, right?
Yeah, don't even get me started on Pro God. Fucking feeding 60 Munins trying to fight Kickies. Oh yeah.
Where is Pro God? Where's that wild card?
Where is Pro God? I'm sure he's listening somewhere.
It wasn't a public.
If you want to talk about shit FCs who need some fucking, rust.
Let's find him and drag him in here so you can dress him down.
Oh God.
All right, Pro God, if you're out there, jump into public. I'll drag you in. All right, just because we haven't had enough fireworks on this show, we need Pro God in here. All right, well, this is amazing. Like we're at the we're at the beginning of something that could be amazing for the rest of the summer of all times, and that is, we know for a fact that the Imperial Legacy Super Coalition is coming to an end. We don't know the characteristics of what's actually going to happen. Are they going to start fighting right away? Are they going to honor the 2-week waiting period? We don't know the future of the Tranquility Trade Center profits. That we don't even know if those towers are going to be standing after all this is over. It remains to be seen, but I can't imagine, Vily, you went into this thinking like, I'm going to risk those towers for this effort. Like, you must have gotten some assurances that if they come under attack, that you're going to have some help defending them.
I can assure you, I've had no assurances from anybody aside from assuming people will keep their word, agreements, whatever. If the TTT ends, the TTT ends. Like, if people come in and blow it up, people come in and blow it up. It's important to understand that just because something was good and has been ongoing does not mean I have any expectation that it will continue. All things end. All empires die. All roads degrade. It is a truth of life, and I can assure you I am more than ready and willing to accept the end of the TTT. I am the one who has to fucking feel that shit. I can assure you I don't, like, there's certain elements of it that, I would be happy to see end.
You are ready for change, it sounds like. All right, we brought PGL in here. What's going, Pro God?
It's a good day. The sun was a little brighter. Air smelled a little crisper. I don't know what it was. Something was good about it. What'd I miss?
Pro God, am I getting my Father's Day email or what?
No.
Actually, whoa, just before we do anything, nerds, go call your dads. Like, put it on your list of things to do today. Like, no shit. Like,
why is Father's Day and like Father's Day in Germany was like over a month ago? Why is it so far apart?
Because you're in some backward European country.
Whoa.
No idea. I think they changed the date. I don't know. Pro God, tell us what you were going to say, and then I want to ask you some questions.
Well, why don't you ask questions first?
All right. Tell us about your, I'm going to quote here. Don't get mad at me, but Pickleman telegram.
I have no idea. Vily sent the message. I had nothing to do with any of this. I think what goons do is they latch onto a narrative. Like, they deployed up the Cloud Ring and then used this whole snuff thing as a distraction from the fact that they were getting constantly crushed every time they took any real fight in Pure Blind. And they had to start retreating before we even started making any movements towards breaking the nip. They were already on a back foot. So you can't talk about how you're constantly losing fleets in Pure Blind and Cloud Ring. So you use this snuff thing as a distraction, so you can just not even talk about the bad stuff. So,
Dude, they didn't do well against us.
Well, yeah, no, they did. It double backfired, honestly. But yeah, so goons have a history of using narratives like that, where they latch onto something. Like, I'm the boogeyman in goons, apparently, ever since Digiblast decided to dox me in front of 250 people in a goon fleet that I was spying on. I've always been the boogeyman for them. So, that's just what it is, I guess.
So one of the more interesting aspects of you being in test, you had former Goon Swarm Fleet Commander Vily and you from Nully, who was arch enemy of Goon Swarm, together in the same coalition. You must have bit your lip many times.
No. I mean, I don't know how many people noticed, but I was not actually, Haiwanto will know I was in Snuff, and then Vily joined Test, and I joined a few days later when I saw Vily join Test.
Yeah, I remember that. I was actually more surprised you joined Snuff than I was that you joined.
Elna.
Elna, right?
Elna, yeah.
Elna nearly destroyed your alliance. Why would you do that?
Dude, Drogo did a great feat when he was in Snuff. He completely destroyed Ipsimus, if you remember.
Yeah, that was a fun one. It would have been good, man. I don't know, man. The low set game. It's not my thing. But it was fun while I was there.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Pro God. So, what do you think is going to happen here? Is this going to be a lot of hype for nothing, or you think something's going to happen?
I don't know. So, this is honestly a lot of game mechanics have changed since the last, I would say, actual big war a couple of years ago. Not so like some game mechanics have changed, and the meta also wasn't as developed during that war as it is now. I think it usually takes about a couple of big wars for the meta to fully develop around game mechanics. Like the Halloween War was definitely the height of the Dominion Sov meta with the Super Cap meta as it was then, but in all the wars before the Halloween War, they weren't exactly fought that way. It took a long time to get this to Wrecking Ball, essentially. So I think we're going to see it fought a little differently than the war we saw 2 years ago. I don't know if it's going to become an X-47 battle, partly because, the Titans and Faxes are entirely different than they were 2 years ago. I'm actually curious. I hope that it's, more subcap focused, more dread focused, less supercap focused. Obviously, you're going to drop supercaps whenever you can, if you can. That goes without saying. But, I think just because of how much more dangerous it is to have Titans out in the open compared to how, 2 years ago, and maybe the tactics will be different. But I don't think anyone knows exactly how it's going to play out yet.
I need to duck out, guys. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for having me.
Later.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Also, Vily, we need to duck out too shortly.
All right. Well, we should probably wrap up.
I think been ducked out, waiting to go here.
I did want to hear from you, Pro God, because you're always insightful and entertaining at the same time. But there was a bonus that I think Vily wanted to take you to task over something. So I was like, yeah, grab him. But I think it was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I think everybody's excited. I mean, we have 727 people watching live to see what you guys had to say. There's a lot of curiosity. There's a lot of excitement. And we're going to see how it all unfolds in the next few weeks going through the summer. These things take a while, right? These campaigns. And we don't really know the extent of the motivation because nobody's really playing their cards right now. We just know that people are excited about this, and even some people are coming back to the game. I think Killabee, you were saying some people were back, right?
Yeah, at least an hour. And when it first started looking like something was going to happen, people, poked their head out of the holes and were like, "Yo, we heard this might be happening. Is this true?" And I know that Mitani, in like one of his pings, he said as well that a lot of their vets were like poking their heads back out. So, yeah, this kind of war always attracts people to get back and get involved. Everybody wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, there was also what was it? The Sphinx, I think, is back. He's the guy that was fighting with Shadu about armor hacks. Apparently, he's back and around.
Kendar might be coming back too. Kendar said if Tappy break their agreement with Goons and start fighting each other, then he's going to come back because he's always wanted to fight Test with Goons, basically, right? So Kendar might be coming back as well, which would be great.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
He was one of the most active UTZFCs in the Goons in the last couple of years, and he's done great stuff. So it's
what do you guys
nice
think
to see content creators come back to the game.
Yeah, what do you think of these younger, I call them younger, but just newer faces that like a Sado, like Kendar, like Thomas Lear, basically. These guys that kind of have broken off and are doing their own thing that were former Goon Swarm. Are they going to have a role to play in this, you think? Have you been in contact with them?
Depends if they want to get involved in if this turns into that kind of big war. There's a lot of people that left with a purpose, right? There's a lot of people that went to alliances like Trigger Happy and broke off to do their own little things because they were bored of the big 0-0 stuff. So if they are still bored of that, I wouldn't think they'd want to get involved because it'd be tie-dye and all that kind of stuff that they kind of left from. But you never know who will answer the call.
We shall see. All right. Any last comments from you guys? Have anything you want to say or announce or anything?
I just wanted to say, in actual fact,
we'll get a lot of nice fights, man. Honestly, like I said the other day on the show when we were talking like news, I'm over the X-47 kind of fights. I had my fair share of those. I was involved in a bunch of Titan battles, and I can say I've done that all. Nowadays I play much more for the fights that don't involve a lot of tie-dye and where you just have a bunch of subcap fleets going at each other or something. So that's what I'm going to be looking for personally. Obviously, if my alliance requires me to do a big timer, I will. But that's my personal goal. Whatever happens next is to just get those kind of fights, nice subcap battles, and just brawl it out, have a good time. Again, don't particularly care too much for the X47 kind of thingies anymore. But if it happens, it happens. I'll be there. But it's just not going to be my focus to create that kind of scenario. Hopefully, I'll find some of those fights.
What about you, Pando? Oh, go ahead, McLeod.
Yeah, there was just a little comment that I made a little earlier, but no one really picked up on. But I would like to say that Goons haven't actually forgotten about test participation in World War B, Casino War. So, and this is something that they have mentioned, on occasion in recent sort of history. So, there is that. There is still some. There is still no. I'm just saying that there is still some like remnants of bad blood between Test and Goons. That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha. Panda, do you have any last words, last thoughts?
Not really, to be quite honest. Like I think Killer B just said, we will see. Like there's only, I don't know exactly what tests. I mean, it looks like Test doesn't know exactly what they want to do. So how am I supposed to predict it right now? So I guess in 2 weeks we'll know more, but probably, as it sounds, not that much more. So it's probably going to be a slow development. So I don't know. Let's see. But I'm kind of getting hyped, I have to say. Like, usually I'm not a big fan of the massive wars. Like, they're more like an annoyance. But I have to say, like, I was looking forward to like get a full-on fight on our doorstep, even though it doesn't sound like it right now. So let's see.
Indeed. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys, Vily, especially you for coming on short notice. Huge announcement. ProGod, thanks for jumping in. And I want to thank Pando and Killer B for joining us, as well as I Want To from Snuff. It's been a great episode. I think historic. We'll find out where all this goes as you find out. Tune in to Talking in Stations every day in the morning, 1600 or 1500 UTC, and keep up with the latest news as we go into this summer. Thank you, McLeod, for engineering, and thank you, audience, for watching. We're going to raid now. We'll go to not Killer B, but we'll go to Bjorn B.
And
we'll
if you haven't followed our channel here on Twitch, then follow it, because that'd be great.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
See you.
Thanks, guys. All right, appreciate it. We'll see you next time on Talking in Stations.